Hello, everyone. It's a man of Manethrin, and I'm going to try and get through this because this is hell. Um, the the Wheel of Prime on Amazon, as I said in my last video, is just this broken piece of unrelated scenes, almost that go nowhere. And for viewers, it is an entirely frustrating event to try and determine how this thing even progresses from one thing to the next with any sort of goal. So here we go, episode 1, and it begins with Dark Friend Daycare. I went through this on a previous video. It's it's gross, it's unnecessary, it destroys the book in the what was the real prologue in the book, to really kind of a hey, this is a sideshow of what was in the book, and we think it's more important, and so we're going to have that anyway. It's dumb. So then we get to Arafel, which no one knows where they are actually. They just know that Moiraine is getting water out of this well at the bottom of this mountain like scene, and she fills up these buckets and carries them up because she doesn't have the power anymore. So she carries them up this mountain to the house where Adelias and Varen are staying. Do you really believe that somebody's going to be doing that? Do you really believe that? By the way, this is about the most labor that the Aes Sedai do in the first 3 episodes, period. I mean, they are the laziest bunch of people that you'll ever see portrayed on screen. Anyway, so she gets these buckets up, and these buckets hold so little. And so you're expecting me to believe that she spends all day long taking buckets up, filling them with water so that she could take a bath and do her laundry in the same water, right? I'm sure she smells fantastic. Oh, and you know what? I'm sure she probably fills the tub up half with water and the rest with her tears because she's crying. Because she doesn't have the power. Well, she doesn't have the power because in season 1, she was probably the most retarded person in the show. And everything she did was an utter travesty for the actual plot, not just what they did to Maureen's book character. Anyway, so it cuts after that. Lan is having an emotional kata scene. I don't know if he's crying or not. And to me, honestly, it doesn't matter. He's frustrated and oh, it's horrible. It's so stupid. Well, then we cut to this scene where Adelias and Varen are talking in the courtyard of this room while their warder, either Varen's or Adelias's, I don't know who's, I don't care, it doesn't matter. He's sitting there cutting up vegetables, prepping for dinner. While Adelias just sits there and lounges, and she tells Varen to move so she can oogle at Lan. So there's sex reference number 1. Um, Next, we got Egwene. She's cleaning. She's cleaning in the Marilyn Seat's office, which, why that would need cleaning, I don't know because we haven't seen her. She's not there at the White Tower, but she's cleaning anyway. And then she's elsewhere walking by Lana Sedai or someone. Doesn't matter. Anyway, and she gets to Alana's chambers, and, well, as she's cleaning, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's not like she didn't hear the 3 of them in there in the first place, or couldn't hear the 3 of them in there in the first place. But all of a sudden, she looks up and, oh, there's a little threesome going on in the bedroom. And she gets horrified and runs away and makes her way to the kitchen. Well, apparently, in that whole time, Alana got done with her warders, got dressed, went down, and said, "All right, everybody clear the kitchen. We're going to have a lesson in the kitchen." And we've gone through this scene before in some lives and everything. It's a joke of a scene. Um, but with the whole cleaning threesome situation, there's sex reference number two, and in the kitchen we have another sex reference because how you can sit there and get around to the scene, the part of the scene where she's trying to get Nynaeve to concentrate on channeling the everything and connecting to the source. She goes, "Close your eyes, reach out, it's picture the bud of a flower. It's pink, it's supple." I'm sorry. Is anybody else watching this show and thinking how utterly disgusting it is to have three sexual references take place within the course of the first 15, 20 minutes? Especially that one. I was expecting her to say moist right after that, but Nynaeve interrupted her before she could say anything. So, thank God for that, I guess. Um, but it's a horrible lesson, and Egwene and Nynaeve are just sitting there being bitches. It's just annoying. Um, let's see. Then we get to a scene where they're discussing Nynaeve's block in this hall that is clearly the hall of the tower, but has been redecorated so that it looks like it's outside, which, by the way, was a redecoration from a scene earlier when Egwene was cleaning and she's walking by the training grounds and watching the warders joust and whatever. Well, that's a triple duty set right there. Way to stretch that dollar there, Amazon. Uh, well, then we get to finally where Perrin is. We see that Loyal lives. We see Uno lives. We see Ingtar lives. I do believe we at least had two of those three confirmed to be dead last episode in the ending of season one. And then we get an indication that Agelmar also lives, who took a huge spear right to the center of the chest. So great. Now we see Perrin's wolf abilities finally, which are not Perrin's wolf abilities because they don't resemble any ability the wolf would have whatsoever. The wolves don't see into the past. They don't see how events took place. But hey, why not? I do like what Alex from the White Cloak said, that it's plot vision. It's fantastic. Um, then Rand is out there picking herbs and vegetables for dinner, helping out the other warder. And they're having a discussion. Land's pissed off because he should be. Um, and then not only that, but he's like, "She's trying to drive me away." And the warder then says to him, after he mentions like, "Oh, she just keeps silent," and he says, quote, and this is important later, "You don't seem to be a man who is afraid of silence." Okay, so remember that line, folks, because it gets thrown away in about 20 minutes. Later, we've got Nynaeve. She's also now participating in some warder training with Alana's bosom buddies, and that scene's also touching. Not really. Next, Egwene. She goes to visit Alana Sedai in her study, or in her room, or whatever. Are you dressed? Yeah, isn't it funny? The last time I saw you, aside from the lesson, you were getting finger cuffed by two dudes. You know, is it okay if I come in? Well, she gets in there and she wants to talk about the class, and she says, quote, "in class." That is not in class. That was in the kitchen. Class is a different place, and apparently they don't have classrooms at the White Tower. Apparently they're everywhere else, and they're busy doing whatever. I don't know. So the teachers apparently have to run around and gather everybody. Or if they walk into a room, they'll just say, "Oh, well, here's an opportunity to teach some of my students." So, oh, so horrible. Anyway, so Alana mistakes her to be thinking about the last time she was in her bedroom when she saw her getting tag teamed by her warders. And she starts talking about how natural it is and how you just have to let go of yourself or whatever, you know. And it's just like, okay, this is getting more and more disgusting. And this is, again, another scene where Alana has all of these looks that she gives everybody in this show, like these looks that are supposed to be sultry and sexy and all this other stuff. And it's just disturbing how she talks and looks at people like she wants to jump everybody's bones. Like channeling for her is, well, anyway, I'm going to keep it clean-ish because how I'm going to need a shower after this, folks. Let's see. Next thing. Oh, Leandrin steals Swan Sanche's scene from the books on the ship, where she's now training Nynaeve, and they have a back and forth, and Leandrin all of a sudden, getting a lot more screen time. Which there was a post on the White Cloaks channel about that, about the amount of words each character's had, and Leandrin leads the pack by almost a almost 33%. It's pretty insane. Ingtar tells Perrin that Fane probably had his reasons for doing what he did. Great. You know what? I'm so sick of this making excuse for evil stuff. There's watching this show with my wife, not this show, but a different show. They were making excuses for evil and be like, oh, well, you don't want to kill the bad guys either. Like I was taught in school, anytime death is involved, it's a bad thing. I'm like, no, killing the bad guy is a good thing. Period. It is a righteous thing. And so going after Fane and killing him, I don't give a crap what his reasons are, even if he thought they were altruistic. If it's bad, it's bad. Go kill him. Quit making excuses for him. And I know that they're setting Ingtar up for stuff later, if they even do that right, which I doubt. But anyway, finally something positive-ish happens in the show, by my estimation. We get to a scene between Lan and Moiraine, and he's finally pissed off. And he goes to find out what Moiraine did with Bail Doman, what they talked about. And she's like, oh, can an Aes Sedai have her secrets? No, bitch, you can't. You two are a team. You two are one. That's the whole purpose. You protect each other, and what you don't tell Lan leads you into a lot of trouble if you don't tell him because he doesn't have the whole story, the whole picture, your whole mindset, all that stuff. You need to communicate, and you have been shutting him out since episode 1 of season 1, pretty much, because you're an awful character, an awful shade of what could have been a good character. So he finally stands up and says, don't talk to me like that. And she just stares at him. And while she's staring at him, he kind of gets all sheepish and looks away. So, like I said, a sort of good thing, because it's like, dude, be a man and stare right back at her. Smack her if you need to. What's she gonna do? Pretend to cast the one power at you? Show the bitch the hand. Well, and then after that, she's like, I'll take my dinner up here. And he's like, well, get it for yourself. So he's got right back up. He stood up to her in that regard. Great. Oh man, this show is so stupid. Because that's as far as it goes for him. Then it cuts, we have this scene with Perrin writing a letter, and via not the U.S. Postal Service, because it's not that effective, it somehow gets to Tar Valon, and Egwene and Nynaeve are reading it, and Leandrin's reading it to Mat, at least most of it, except where it mentions him, and oh, it's so sweet, yada, yada, yada. I don't know, about time we get our 5 seconds of obligatory Rand in the episode, but no words. Oh, it's so horrible. Um, and then and then Matt ends up after Leandrin leaves. Like starts going over, oh, it's time for a prison break. So it's like Escape from Alcatraz all over. So he moves his little cupboard thing and starts scraping away at the door. And I like Prophet calling him Matt Dufresne. Oh man, this show so bad. Well, now we cut back. Lan is having dinner with Adalas and Varen and the warder, and he even sets the plate out at the dinner table for Moiraine. And I wanted to throw everything. It's so horrible. Well, not only that, but then they get into this discussion, and Varen just pumps up Moiraine to the heights like she's the goddess of women, and she's been nothing but crap for what is now 9 episodes. I mean, a complete evil personality for 9 episodes. And just says, well, she's you don't know what it's like to get cut off from the source. And I'm sitting there thinking, woman, do you understand that you get bonded to a warder and you share these things? And what happens to her happens to him. She gets cut off from the source, he gets cut off from her, and they experience that. I mean, what? Now, they haven't presented that in the show, but that's pretty typical of the show to forego all that stuff. Well, what else happens? What else happens in this discussion? It's so wonderful. She goes on like, all I see is Moiraine taking her water up day in and day out. She works so hard. She is strong. So wonderful. Shut up. For the love of God, shut up, woman. Well, then the warder steps in to give some sage comments. And I wanted to smack him through the TV screen too. And he has the balls to sit there and say to Lan, you've been together for 20 years, and maybe it's time now to be quiet and listen. 20 minutes prior to this is the same guy in the same episode that looked at Lan and said, you don't strike me to be a man afraid of silence. And now you're telling him to shut up and actually listen? After he's been with Moiraine for 20 years? Are you out of your mind? What an asshole. So you're going to sit there, you're either, I mean, it's bad script writing, period. But you're either, if this is your same personality, that means you you are going to sit there in a scene specifically with Lan and just patronize him. And then when you get around your bosses, because let's face it, in this show, the warders' bosses are the Aes Sedai. When you get around your bosses, then you're going to sit there and take their side immediately and tell Lan he's wrong. If I were Lan, I would have taken the plate of food on Moiraine's side and threw it in his face. But nope, Lan, he just gets up, dusts himself off pretty much, and then just takes his plate up to Moiraine. Isn't that just sweet? What a heaping pile of garbage. Heaping pile. Man, this show's awful. Well, when he gets up there, he finds Moiraine's gone because Moiraine is either one, insanely stupid because she goes off after telling Bail Doman that he's being followed by Fades, or she's a damn coward and she's trying to leave so she doesn't get caught by the Fades, and the Fades attack Varen, Idalos, and Lan. One of the two. Either way, completely selfish motivation for Moiraine and a complete and total bitch. Well, in any case, she gets unhorsed and she hides from Fades who can hide in shadows and see really well in the dark. Really? You're going to hide. And then you're going to sit there and stab one in the mouth right below the brain, which is not going to kill the Fade, but other people have said the same thing. Never mind the fact that you can behead a fade and they'll thrash around for hours and hours and hours because they don't realize they're dead yet. Okay, that makes total sense, right? But this one dies right away. Man. Well, then she turns around and she gets literally stabbed right in the middle of the gut. So she gets gutted by a fade. Okay. And then she's down there uh, acting like she's been wounded beyond belief. Hey, reminder, this is what happened last season too in episode 1, remember? At the very end? Yeah. Can't wait to see how she doesn't die next season. Then Lan, Deus Ex Machina, because we don't hear horses, we don't hear anything. He just pops up out of nowhere and then kills that fade and then gets in a fight with another one or another couple. I don't know. The scene is dark and poorly shot, and basically Rand sucks. Those cataforms did nothing for him, and he gets all sliced and diced. So he's now on the ground next to Moiraine, and then she goes to channel or tries to, but she can't because she's been stilled or whatever or cut off. And the channeling starts happening right by her hand. Well, it turns out that was Varen channeling. So Varen's a bitch because she's making it look like Noini's or like Moiraine's channeling. Total asshole move, you know? Like, oh, these people who make the show don't understand how poor they make it and how comical it is. But anyway, Varen and company save the day. Oh, that's so wonderful. And no, um, and Varen yells out, "Cover your ears!" And so they cover their ears because apparently the sound thing that she unleashed hurt the fades, and then that allowed her warder to come in and have his sword lit on fire and stab the one fade and save the day, while not having his own ears covered. So he should also be in the same pain the fades are in, but forget that. Um, and come on, folks. Lan and Moiraine should be dead. I don't care if the Aes Sedai are right there, ready to help them and heal them on the spot. They were stabbed by fades, and fades carry Thakandar blades, which are insanely poisonous and are infectious. And it's like Frodo getting stabbed at Weathertop, except for Moiraine and Lan, sliced, diced, run through all the way. This wasn't just like a little tip of a blade for like Frodo got. This was run through. you know, they both should be dead. We should be all celebrating at the end of episode 1 of season 2 because they're dead. And we can finally move on to the main characters of the show, hopefully. But guess what's not going to happen, boys and girls? That. Because that would be consistent. Anyway, I'm going to try and cut this video out and get it loaded, and then move on to episode 2. And yeah, this is worse than season 1 already. So anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have anything to add, would appreciate your prayers. this is this is so horrible. Anyway, Jagar Navran, Taishar Manethrin.